Welcome to the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast, powered by the Precision Metal Forming Association, of course. And I am your host. I am Dean Phillips. I am the technical director here at the Precision Metal Forming Association, as well as, of course, the editor, and try to gather all this content together for you to try and help you navigate the waters that are the difficulty we have today in manufacturing. With me today, of course, from the Precision Metal Forming Association, I have from the PMA, PSI, Metal Forming Media, our VP of Sales / Publisher, Mike Vohland. Welcome, Mike.
Good afternoon, Dean. Always a pleasure. Great to be back. And you are the curator of the Destiny of Manufacturing. I think you should maybe add that word into your title.
Okay. I'm going to have to write that down.
I know a guy. We can make that happen.
All right. So right off the bat, we always like to ask everybody, what's your big takeaway for the next 5 years?
Before I get into that, I'd be remiss if I didn't wish you a happy Liberation Day as we sit here on April 2nd and the tariffs are really in full swing. So we'll see what happens. That's always going to be a takeaway. That's going to be talked about for a long, long time. And I hope for the positive at some point. But getting back to, to my takeaway, looking now and the future, as I sit with both my PMA and my MetalForming Magazine hats on, maybe I should say, automation and fabrication. And I don't want to be self-serving about this because, we're with the magazine, we're branching out a little bit into some fabrication stuff, but there's a method to our madness. But first off, I guess with automation, we've been talking about this for a bit, Dean, and I think we touched upon this last time I was here, is that it's no secret people are hard to find. Good employees are hard to find, and manufacturing still, fights a bit of a stigma with the younger generation, just in terms of, what they want to do for a living. And we've been talking about it for years. It's not your grandfather's manufacturing shop anymore. Technology has crept into everything, obviously, as in our daily lives, and it's certainly key to manufacturing as well. So for automation, we are, we're covering it with metal forming. We're talking about it a lot with PMA. It's a hot button topic for a lot of people and for a lot of companies, maybe I should say. And we're just, trying to upgrade your shop or your business and trying to produce more parts in a cheaper fashion. And we're looking to a lot of automation to handle those things where actual people can't, where they're just not available. So that's a big takeaway. And then on the fabrication side of things, our Brad Kuvin, our editorial director at MetalForming Magazine, has for years told me that not all stampers there's more ways to skin a cat than just stamping out parts. And a lot of stampers now are getting into a lot of fabrication technologies, especially for us, what we cover and, our audience, again, both on the magazine side and the membership side. We're really looking at sheet metal, quarter inch, half inch, thinner. And so how do manufacturers stay competitive? If you're just, trying to stamp out parts, so you look to maybe buy a laser or get into a myriad of different technologies within the fab side of things. And so that's what we're seeing a lot of. So we're writing a lot about that. We're covering that. We're just trying to help our audience, make a part, make a product better, stronger, faster, less expensive, and through automation and new technologies, new techniques, maybe I should say, through fabrication is something that we're really keen on right now. And if I can give a quick plug to ourselves as well, we MetalForming Magazine is launching a fabrication summit. Is a 2-day event later in May, about 6 weeks from now. So this will be kind of a roundtable type of series where we'll discuss what I just touched upon, techniques and technologies for sheet metal fabrication. So it's a bit of a departure from what we're doing, what we've normally done, but it's all part of our process and our part of our world. The magazine carries a large number of fabricators as subscribers. We've been writing about it for many, many years, so it would be, we'd be doing a disservice, I think, if we didn't branch out and provide more information to the industry.
I think to your point also is it is very difficult to just make money as a stamper, just stamping parts.
Correct.
You have to have that ability to add value in your processes. And fabrication is one of those processes. So I think you absolutely hit it on the head. At least that's what I see when I go into plants and visit manufacturers. That is what they're talking about, is how do we make more per part? Because it's very difficult, if not slash impossible, to get a large OEM to say, I'm going to give you an extra 3 cents per part. I don't hear that ever coming up.
I was going to say, I didn't know if that was an actual anecdote or you were just kind of making that up.
Never heard it. I've never heard it. I've never heard any man. I've heard a lot about, hey, you need to give us 3 cents back.
Right.
That I hear all the time. But you have to find ways, creative ways to do that. And I think, MetalForming Magazine, if you're not a subscriber, please reach out to us, because there's a lot of great information in there. We talk about the lack of knowledge of our people today that struggle. And I see it with engineers who come into these plants. It used to be you kind of worked as an apprentice alongside some of other manufacturers. Today, you're a project manager. You're brought in and you have to go at it. And where do you gain that knowledge? And MetalForming Magazine and all of our tools within PMA are tremendous. Can you talk a little bit about that, of how we, the areas that we fill with knowledge?
Within PMA or within MetalForming Magazine?
Within MetalForming Magazine, I think, to start. Yeah.
So how do we repeat the question again, Dean? I'm sorry.
It's okay. The question I had is, how do we go about finding those holes that we have, and how do we fill them within the magazine?
Sure. And that, I don't think it's any different from a lot of other publications out there, but, I guess it was the chicken or the egg, what for the magazine, what comes first, the circulation or the editorial, or if you do the editorial, the circulation will follow. Well, we've been writing about that, really. Our editorial team constantly out, talking with our subscribers, talking with our members, and asking them how they're staying competitive. And lo and behold, they might be in an interview, and somebody might say, well, gosh, I just bought, two new lasers from, you pick the laser manufacturer. And then conversations will go from there. And then just the more that we are talking to our audience, the more that we're talking to our members, what they want to read, hear, and see, that will dictate editorial for the magazine. And then on the circulation side, if we have enough subscribers, which we do on the fabrication side of things, then we know people want our magazine. And, our biggest NAICS code, our biggest area is fabrication. In fact, MetalForming Magazine carries more fabrication subscribers than any magazine out there, including a couple of the household names that you're familiar with, or the audience might be familiar with. So, now we have, we're covering fabrication on a regular basis, sheet metal fabrication on a regular basis, and our subscribers are clearly wanting more, because we are getting more and more new subscribers from the fab side of the house. So it's one hand washes the other, and it's, we've really made a concentrated effort to appease both, to increase our circulation of that group, and then to provide them with the editorial, and then, also, again, the conferences that we're launching. And we are part of FabTech as well, PMA is, and MetalForming Magazine. So it really goes hand in hand. And, we're not trying to really step on any one of our partners' toes or any competitors' toes. It's just we feel that there's a bit of a void, especially when it comes to sheet metal fabrication and how it really works well from a technology standpoint with all the sorts of metal forming opportunities.
Yeah. And not to mention, of course, we have some of the leading experts in these different areas that write articles and assist us in getting that information out. It isn't just, just finding anybody. You have to find people. And for the longest time, I could tell you firsthand before I ever came to work for Precision Metal Forming Association, I was an engineer and I worked in the industry. And one of the things, I had a stack of books that I'd had that were reprints of the articles going back to when I was at Niagara in the early to mid 90s, of reprints of different ones, Stu Keeler's articles, those kinds of people who were industry experts in material science, industry experts in tool and die, industry experts in avenues like die protection. We've for a long time been able to service that with our experts that we have. And so to me, that's one of the areas that people need to understand why you should be a subscriber. And we have a very good price plan for most of our subscribers, because how much is it usually, Mike?
For a full subscription, it's no cost.
There you go.
Yeah. What a deal. So and just real quick, most business to business magazines, which we are, there is no subscription price. So it's obviously different than whatever magazine you may or may not get at home, Sports Illustrated back in the day, or Vogue, or whatever. Consumer magazines do have a subscription price, whether it be $350 an issue or $250 or what have you. But business to business magazines have always been free, but our circulation is a bit different from the standpoint is we are a qualified circulation. We are audited. We get audited twice a year by an independent circulation audit firm, just to make sure that we say, hey, we're reaching 45,000 subscribers. We need to then show who these subscribers are. We obviously don't have to physically produce 45,000 people, but we've got to show how we qualified them or requalified them, what their name, title, all the above information, and then keep them engaged. And so it's just on a totally separate note here. So it's a little bit different when you're selling advertising. Basically what we're selling is audience and editorial environment, but audience being key. And with a consumer magazine, you might say, okay, we're reaching demographic of 18 to 34 males, which is a key buying demographic. Ours is a little bit different. We say, hey, we're reaching this many engineers, this many manufacturing engineers, this many C-level readers. So that's how we build our circulation. And then it's also interesting. I talk on the magazine for just a second more here, that we are in the world of we're always now we're balancing print and digital, and how do you want to consume your information? And I know all of us are on a computer all day. I personally, and I know I'm a little bit older, and you and I are about the same age. I personally don't like to read long form articles or lengthy items on a screen. I would still prefer it in a magazine.
Read.
And we're seeing that now. It's a bit of a trend that we, along with many other publishing companies, we have, I said 45,000 circulation, 30,000 of that is print. So we print 30,000 magazines because we have 30,000 people saying they want the magazine versus the digital version. And then we have 15,000-ish subscribers that are receiving the digital only version. Well, I'm constantly talking to our circulation director, and it's not, and we just had a board meeting, and it always comes up, why don't we just go all digital? I said, well, we're printing 30,000 magazines because 30,000 people, as I said, want it in magazine form. We are having more of a difficult time now to move people from print to digital than ever before. And it's never been quite that easy. I mean, the easiest thing in the world would say, no, I don't want the magazine. Please send it to me digitally. Done. But that, believe it or not, it's not as easy as you might think. And from my understanding from our circulation director, it's getting even harder. So, what does that say about, reader habits or, because our group is a little older, we're not reaching a big audience of 22 and unders. But it's still, print is still very prevalent. And that's another thing that, I know that we're not talking about technology now, and I apologize for getting off topic a little bit, but, that's a takeaway that I'm dealing with along with a lot of other publishing companies as well, moving for the next 5 years.
Sure. And this is exactly that also. This is that same avenue of how do people consume information? Mm-hmm. They don't all consume everything just in the format of reading or watching videos. This is an evolution of that, of how do I consume and how do I want to consume my information. We started as an audio-only podcast,
right?
When we first started this. And not that I didn't want to see your picture up there, Mike. But we did have an evolution of, hey, people are willing to consume. You look at a lot of the podcasts today, and they are formatted with video.
Absolutely.
It didn't used to be that. It was designed mainly for people that, hey, you're in your car, you got something to listen to. You can listen to an episode of this, or you're on a treadmill and you want to go listen to it. There you go. But now people are willing to sit down and consume it. And obviously you could see from the popularity of a lot of the higher profile podcasts that there's a value to that and exploring that avenue. So we're trying to do that also.
Yeah, we are with the PMA and metal forming, we're, no different than a lot of associations, obviously, but we exactly right. We are doing much more video than ever before. It's just, and even on the advertising side, I encourage people, if they're doing like an e-newsletter ad or a web banner ad or something along those lines, to include a video in there, embed a video. And that's, that is also one of the more enticing things with an e-book or a digital issue. We can just do more things within that than we can, obviously, on the print side of things. But, the print will stay there and you can always refer to it. Obviously, any digital issue is always going to be in the webosphere forever as well. But, we did just launch in January, really our first adventure into a digital ebook, and it was the Tool and Die ebook, and it's been received extremely well. We're very pleased with the amount of people who are reading it, rereading it, and opening it, and it just did wonders for our website traffic. But again, we can embed things. You can be more interactive and immersive. So we'll see. Moving forward, I kind of thought this was going to be a nice litmus test to see, okay, if this works out well, and not just from a revenue standpoint, but really from a readability standpoint. And are people really downloading this, looking at this? And not just when we send it out, but are they going to the website to look at it on their own? And yes, overwhelmingly they are. So I know that this will be more into the mix as we move forward to provide content, for our subscribers and our members. So I can't see us envisioning. I don't envision us doing this every single month, but mixing in maybe a quarterly ebook, whether it be digital tool and die, whether it be automation, for example, or lubrication, or there's a lot of things we're talking about. But it's turned out well, and it's adapt or die, as they all say. And so we're trying to evolve just like everyone else.
And to that point, with that ebook, it's a resource. It isn't just a book that you're reading an article in. This is a resource that people will go back to time and time again and can evolve. That's the great part, I think, of the dynamic nature of it, is that if something new comes up that we want to include, we can modify and do things like that you just can't do. Once you put it out and you publish it, it's out, and that's
It's
it.
out. Yep. No, that's a great point, Dean. And we are in fact modifying it, tweaking it every quarter. And so the next round 2, I guess, of the Tool and Die ebook will go out here in a week or so. It will have some different content and some different advertising as well. So you're right. You just don't want to put a PDF version of the magazine out there. Of course, people are going to go back to it, but with something like this, it is a resource, and it's almost like the old buyer's guides that you see that you like for people to hang around to look up, or a phone book or something like that. But this is a resource, and we know just from our statistical data that people are going back to it. So it's been a home run for us thus far.
Yeah. And well, we're just about out of time, Mike. So I will ask the tough question here for you. Why are you involved in PMA? What was your interest in getting and coming to the Precision Metal Forming Association?
Yeah, so I just marked my 5-year anniversary just a couple of months ago, and I had always been on the private side of publishing. I always felt that I always admired any association from afar. I'd certainly competed against many associations that had a publishing arm, just because, I looked at it as, well, they've always got a built-in audience, or they've got a built-in membership, or they've got a built-in core. And really, when I started with PMA, now I know why associations do have a built-in audience or built-in core, built-in membership, whatever you want to call it, is because we are doing, and not just PMA, but other fine associations throughout this country and world, are doing much more for our audience and for our advertisers and for our members than you could possibly ever imagine. And in PMA, I hope this doesn't sound just puffy, but I truly feel comfortable and good about working for an association, knowing what we're trying to do for our members. And whether it be the Education Foundation, scholarships, we have a DC presence, a lobbyist that they're advocating for not just metal forming, but manufacturing in general. We are truly trying to make a difference and help our members in a myriad of ways, and we are. And if anyone out there, go to pma.org, and I'm not asking you to automatically become a member or a subscriber to the magazine, but just check out what we're doing in general, and look at other associations as well. And it does feel good. We all want to make money. There's no doubt about it. But you can make money, and you can also help the greater good as well. And I honestly believe that we, along with other associations, are doing just that.
Yeah. And as John Wick said, I have served, I will be of service.
Yeah, that's a great quote. Yes, sir.
So, Mike, thank you so much for being here. How do people reach you?
They can easily find me at pma.org. I'm rolling around that website, or metalformingmagazine.com, or please reach out, email last name Vohland at pma.org, and drop me a note, and I'm more than happy to talk about the business side of things, or PMA in general, or the industry. Or if you want to talk some SEC football, particularly Ole Miss, I'm happy to chat about that as well.
I agree. All right, Mike, and everybody out there, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the show and listen to the show. We do appreciate everybody. Yes. You can subscribe to our podcast at all of your typical podcast platforms. And of course, you can view it through our pma.org site in a little bit more roundabout way. So we are glad that people are subscribing, and glad that people are taking advantage of the information that we provide and continue to provide. And we do appreciate your feedback too. So if you have ideas and thoughts how we can improve, or suggested topics, that's what we're here for. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And thank you, Dean. Always a pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you.